Why, hello everyone, how are you doing this fine day? Hope you're enjoying your week. Welcome to another survival challenge, in particular, a dispatch survival challenge. Even more in particular, a Shroud / the Red Ring survival challenge. You know, like the villains of the game, you get it. If you're new to my channel, you've never seen one of my videos before, the basic gist is simple. We're gonna take 4 different heroes and we're gonna chuck them up against the Red Ring and all the fucking bullshit they had to go through in the dispatch universe against the Red Ring, but with the added factor that they will not have assistance from Z-Team nor the rest of SDN. Does that sound fun? Of course it does. It sounds amazing. I'm sure you're just fucking rock hard right now. So hard you're gonna have to hide this video from your parents. But I've wasted enough of your time. Let's get started. Oh, nope. Voice is still not ready for that. Oh, Jesus. So first things first, we have to go over Shroud and the Red Ring and tell you a little bit about Shroud and the Red Ring and what our challengers are going to have to go through by going up against Shroud and the Red Ring. And more so than normal, it's really important that I go over this for this video in particular, because there seems to be this weird sort of thing that's going on online where people keep saying that Shroud is shitty. Everyone thought he was such a badass when the episodes were coming out, and even when the final episode dropped, people still liked Shroud. And then, I don't know, like a week or two later, all of a sudden, all these videos started dropping saying that he was a piece of shit. Specifically, I keep seeing the word fraud being used when describing Shroud. All of the videos I've watched all says that he's a fraud, and all my comments all say that he's a fraud, and that word is just too specific to be a coincidence, which makes me think that all of these people who are calling him a fraud are all getting that from each other. It's sort of like the Spider-Man 3 thing, where Spider-Man 3 came out and everyone for the most part kind of enjoyed the movie, and then, you know, online discourse started and then everybody was laughing at the fucking dance scenes, acting like it was like unintentionally cringy and funny when it was very clearly supposed to be cringy and funny. And the truth of the matter is that the movie's actually not that bad. It's the worst of the trilogy, but it's not really that bad of a film. But people talk about it like it's one of the worst comic book movies ever made, and it is far from it, like really far. So while I wasn't expecting to have to do this, I kind of have to like defend Shroud in this section of the video. But yeah, I mean, okay, I guess. So can someone please explain to me how this dude is a fraud? Because it's not like people are calling him a fraud like he's committed fraud and he is factually a fraud, but he's still like a good villain. They're saying he's a fraud as an insult to say how he's a bad villain. He's actually incompetent and he's just not good. Like he pretends to be this great villain, but in reality he's like shitty. That's what all of these people are saying. Either I'm not seeing something that you guys are seeing, or you guys aren't seeing what I'm seeing. Somewhere along the line we're getting like a mistranslation or something, because I just don't see how he's a fraud. Is it because he lied about how he killed Robert's dad? Because it's not like he didn't kill Robert's dad. He still did it. He just made it sound worse how he did it while he was taunting Robert because he was fucking with Robert. Like, that's totally normal. And it's not like we don't have villains that are considered great villains that lie constantly. Joker from The Dark Knight lies, like basically every word that comes out of that dude's mouth is a lie. I know the obvious one is he always lies about his backstory, but he lies about way more than that. He lies about his backstory, he lies about where he put the bombs, he lies to Harvey Dent about not making plans. He very clearly planned out the entire plot of the movie. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, literally every single thing that he says, every line that comes out of this dude's mouth is a lie. Just think about it for 5 seconds. He initially tells everybody that he wants to catch Batman, right? Like, he wants Batman to turn himself in, and that's what he goes with. He's like, okay, so people turn Batman in. And then finally, when someone does turn Batman in, he says that he's changed his mind, and then he threatens to blow up a hospital. He set up a bunch of C4 all over a hospital. That wasn't just something he just changed his mind about. He never wanted Batman to be turned in. He said he wanted Batman to be turned in so that when someone turned him in, he could then blow up a hospital. This was all a part of the plan, but he lied about all of it. But nobody calls him a fraud. Why? Because he's a threat and he caused a lot of chaos and people like him. But Shroud is a threat too. He does all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't really see why that would make him a threat. Is it because he never gets the astral pulse? Like in the end of the movie, he fails at his goal? Is that what it is? Because that's pretty much all villains for the most part of any superhero movie. They all basically fail. I don't see why that makes him a fraud. And although there are multiple ways that he can fail, no matter how he fails, it's all based on one weakness that he has that specifically ties into the themes of the story, which is pretty well done. Most times when you get villains of superhero stories, the villain is created as a foil to the hero. That's not the case with Shroud. Shroud is actually a foil to the themes of the story, which are redemption and changing your bad behaviors and becoming a better person. That's like the whole thing. The whole Phoenix program is about this. It's a bunch of villains turning their lives around and becoming heroes. This is Invisigal's whole story. This is Robert's whole story about how he has depression and he's kind of empty and has no hope for the future and is basically just throwing himself at death over and over and over again until he will inevitably die, just like both his father and grandfather. But slowly throughout the course of the story, all of these characters change. They become better people. Robert becomes a more content, happier person. He finds more out of life than just throwing himself at death. Invisigal evolves into a different, better, or possibly worse person, depending on your decisions in the game. Everybody evolves. This is directly linked with Shroud and his powers. His power is the ability to predict what people do. These prediction abilities are shown to be extremely accurate throughout the entire story, but there's one major weakness that Shroud has. He doesn't believe that people are capable of change. Because he doesn't believe that people are capable of change, no matter what happens at the end of the story, he has to lose because Invisigal does something he couldn't predict because he doesn't believe Invisigal is capable of change. He doesn't believe anyone is capable of change. Every time he loses, it's based on that concept. If Invisigal was the same person she was at the beginning of the story, Shroud would have won against everybody, but because she's a different person now, over the course of however many months the game takes place, she becomes a different person. He is no longer capable of predicting what she will and won't do. It's because of Shroud's limited perspective on human nature that leads to his downfall. And that weakness is, again, directly tied into the themes of the story. I'm not seeing a problem here. I think Shroud's fine. He's a good villain. He works for the story. He is competent. I've heard people make arguments like, what the hell is he doing the whole game when he doesn't have the astral pulse? Why does it take him so long to look for the astral pulse? He's just like chilling in a bar somewhere. No, he's not. Are you paying attention to the story? During not only the story, but also the dispatch missions, they very clearly tell you that Shroud is taking over all of the gangs in Los Angeles. Like, he's literally turning them all and bringing them into the Red Ring. He makes the Red Ring the most powerful criminal force in the entire city because it's literally all of the supervillain gangs all rolled into one freaking gang. It's incredibly effective what he does. His goal is to control all crime in Los Angeles, which by the end of the game, he succeeds at doing. Just because he's not specifically attacking Robert and getting the astral pulse doesn't mean he's not doing anything. He takes over the whole city. If it wasn't for Invisigal changing as a person, he would have succeeded. You can make the argument that Robert actually beats him if you choose the give both to Shroud at the end of the game. Like, you have the astral pulse and the fake, and if you give him both, he has to guess because now he has a 50-50 chance, which this is another very clear play on his weakness. His powers are specifically to predict things, and when you give him two identical choices, the prediction basically becomes worthless because now he has a 50-50 shot. There's no way that he can predict which one it is and which one it isn't. It plays on that weakness and his inability to actually make genuine decisions outside of his prediction abilities. But this isn't Robert beating him because even in this ending, he still grabs his gun and then shoots Robert. The only thing that stops him is, again, Invisigal. If Invisigal hadn't changed like she had, he would have shot Robert, taken out the fake astral pulse, and then just put the real one in, and everything would have been fine. He wouldn't have lost. Basically, the entire outcome of this game rests on the shoulders of him being unaware that Invisigal is capable of changing and becoming a different person. Outside of that, he wins. I've heard people argue that he sucks because he doesn't overcome anyone in a fight. He loses more fights than he wins, and the only time he really does win is when he takes someone by surprise. But I think that this is stupid too because Shroud is an intelligence character. He's not like a fighting character. His power is being able to predict what other people do, and he's smart, and he's capable of rounding up a bunch of other villains of doing what he wants them to do. He can predict things. That's his thing. It's not fighting. So saying that he's a shitty villain because he doesn't beat Robert in a fist fight at any point is just dumb. That's not the kind of villain he is. Lex Luthor isn't a shitty villain because he can't beat Superman in a fist fight. I don't get the arguments here. I really don't. Also, when I announced this video was coming out in the community post, I saw a lot of people saying that the only real threats that the Red Ring has was Toxic, basically. Like, I saw that consistently. People were messaging me saying if they can't beat Toxic, then they lose. If they could beat Toxic, then they win. But again, I think this is like, people weren't paying attention to the game. Because while Toxic is the most powerful, like, on-screen green character that we see, if you pay attention to the dispatches, you see that the red ring is significantly larger than just Toxic. Like, way larger. So now that we more or less covered Shroud, let's go over the actual red ring and talk about the shit that he actually has in his fucking massive crime organization that nearly wipes out an entire city by itself, that apparently people think sucks for some reason. So as for the characters we have seen, like the ones that actually appear in the game, you have Toxic, obviously, we already talked about it, and Toxic is like a really well-rounded character in terms of powers, actually, if you really look at it. I mean, he's got flight, he's got super strength, durability, he can regen. At one point in the game, he has his entire lower half completely crushed and just broken. He can't stand or walk or anything, and in seconds, it just completely regens back to normal. He also has the ability to turn his body into some kind of green toxic substance that can burn through metals and shit. It's like, I don't know if it's acidic or something. He's called Toxic, but it seems to be acidic. It just burns through shit. He's shown in the game to be strong enough to be able to take on Mecha Man, or at least the second version of the Mecha Man suit, in a 1v1 fight and do pretty well. We don't see him fight against the third version of the suit, which is very clearly an upgraded version, but he does fight against the second version. The second version is still pretty fucking powerful. Outside of that, we get a bunch of characters that we don't really know a lot about other than like the absolute bare bones. Like, we know there's this chick named Psychic who is a flying telepathic character that can lift shit with her mind. She has telekinesis and telepathy. There's a big ass blob dude made out of blob material, and he has the powers that you would expect someone to have if they are blob characters that are made out of, you know, blob. There's an electric character that can fly around and shoot lightning. There's this dude with like tiny arms who has big mech arms, so he's like super strong, but he's actually really shitty with his real arms. But he's got 4 arms, but 2 of them suck and 2 of them are awesome. There's this dude who's covered in tattoos. He's kind of like a dragon man, and he can shoot fire out of his mouth. But really, there's nothing we see on screen that's super over the top or crazy or anything, which is why I think that they probably think that the red ring sucks. It's really when you start diving into the dispatches and seeing what happens in the dispatch missions that you start to see that it's actually a lot more powerful. Like, for instance, you wouldn't know from watching it, but the red ring actually has kind of a military setup where they have lieutenants, and these lieutenants are actually very powerful, capable of doing all sorts of crazy shit. One of the lieutenants is this chick named Smilemore, who has the ability that anytime she speaks or says anything, people have to listen to what she says. At one point in the game, she has this plan where she goes and takes over a radio tower and then uses that to broadcast her voice and brainwash the population of an entire city, or at least whoever is listening to her voice over these radio waves, which means you don't even have to be in the room. Like, she can literally do it over radio waves. I don't even know how that works, but that's something she can do. And that's just one lieutenant. There are several others that are named. There's Mr. Fister, who is a character that he's just said to have a combat augment, likely some form of super strength or something. We're not really sure what it is, but we also know that he creates a bunch of weapons and he distributes the weapons to everybody in the red ring. So at the end of the game, when you see all these red ring characters shooting these laser, like red laser rifles and shit, those weapons more than likely come from this guy named Mr. Fister. There's a character called Mindfucker that has some sort of technology control ability. Not only is he really good hacker, but he's also capable of just controlling technology in general. He is a technopath. Overall, I would say the villains that we see in the dispatches are oftentimes more interesting and have a far larger variety of powers, and honestly just straight up more useful powers than the ones that we see in the actual game. The ones we see in the games always seem to be pretty combat based, just I can hit you harder or fly or whatever. But in the actual dispatches, they got some pretty impressive hacksy abilities that are going to be more useful in this challenge than just, you know, I have like tiny arms and my big arms can hit you harder than my tiny arms. Like, who gives a fuck? But on top of that, Red Ring has access to a bunch of other stuff. They have multiple kaijus that they release upon the city, and these kaijus are under the control of Shroud. It's specifically stated that he can tell them what to do when he controls them. They're also augmented. I probably should have mentioned this earlier. Shroud creates these augmented technology things, and he gives it to all of these different people, which enhances their powers beyond what it would be normally. One of these augments he gives to a kaiju that we don't really know if the augment allows him to control him or if it's just making the kaiju stronger. But it's a pretty big kaiju as it destroys an entire pier on the beach of Los Angeles, and it is specifically stated to be a kaiju, so it's probably at least, you know, kaiju sized. We don't actually get a size, but pretty big. The Red Ring Ring also has access to many explosives. In fact, they threaten to blow up the city with explosives many times. When I say threaten, it's not really a threat. They actually are explosives there. It's just as the dispatch crew, you have the option to be able to stop them from exploding. They do have many explosives. They place them throughout the sewers and in different buildings, and they're basically doing massive terrorist attacks. Actually, no. You do see at the end of the game, when you're with Blonde Blazer on top of the sign, all of the different explosions going off around the city. So, no, he does actually set off quite a few. They also at one point create a citywide blackout everywhere. We're not 100% sure how they do this. It's possible they just blow shit up again, like they blow up the fucking, place where the power comes from. But it happens across the whole city at the same time, and there's 3 different things that Robert has to hack into in order to turn it on section by section. And the fact that Robert was able to turn them back on at all means it probably wasn't that they just bombed the fucking power plant, because he wouldn't be able to turn that back on with hacking. So, I don't know, maybe he had the techno mindfucker dude hack into it and shut down all the power. We don't know. Either way, being able to strip an entire fucking massive city, which by the way is the largest city in the US, not people-wise, but like landmass-wise, is pretty impressive. I don't think it's an easy thing to, I wouldn't be able to do that. We also get a bunch of different named factions that join under the Red Ring, and while most of them we don't get a whole lot of information, some of them are pretty interesting just by what they are. We got like the East Side Gang, that's nothing too much, but we also have mole people. Apparently there's an entire civilization of mole people that live under the city of Los Angeles that join up with the Red Rings, and they just get progressively more ridiculous of all the different groups that have joined him. Is pretty weird. The criminals that work for the Red Ring are not just regular dudes. It's a whole army of massive superpowered characters. I mean, Blonde Blazer, who is arguably the second most powerful character in the entire universe that we know of so far, attacks a bar with just a bunch of random fucking unnamed dudes in there, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna kill half of you, and he's like, oh, that's really cool, but then Shroud's, based on his little calculation ability and prediction ability, he's like, nah, you probably would have killed around 36% before they killed you. Blonde Blazer should not have issues killing 30% of 20 dudes in a bar. Those dudes in that bar are powerful. They have cool powers and can do cool shit. And Blonde Blazer's really strong. So people need to stop sleeping on the Red. I mean, dude, at one point they get this serum and they purposely make it get unstable. And then if it goes too unstable, it's gonna blow up the whole city. Well, they say it's gonna destroy the whole city. I don't know what that means. I don't know how a serum will blow up, but whatever. They have that. They go out and they steal that shit and they have it. They have access to it. You can stop them from using it, but if they do it, all of Los Angeles gets fucking destroyed somehow. That means that Shroud, or at least the Red Ring as a whole, are capable of destroying an entire city. Would you stop sleeping on the group? This is a good group. It's a powerful group. It's a threatening group. The challenge that our survivors are going to have to overcome is a massive, super-powered army, all of which have different random crazy grab bag of superpowers, who are also armed with explosives, have incredibly advanced technology, including augments that enhance all of their abilities even further, who have giant kaiju who stole an experiment from a government facility. It's like experiment 1062 or some shit, and it's this big ass fucking thing, claws and shit. Again, we don't really get to see it, but it sounds dangerous. An army of flying automatons, armed flying, I didn't even say that one, totally forgot about that one. Yeah, they have an entire army of giant military drones, basically, that they jacked from a billionaire and then upgraded to make these super dangerous fucking drones. And who are being orchestrated and organized by a guy who could predict the future. How is this not a threat? This is very clearly a threat. Come on, guys. First up on the chopping block, we have Mark Grayson from Invincible. I know people are going to be a little confused as to why this character is here, but just give me a second. He's here for a reason. First thing we need to do is bunker down exactly what version of this character we're using. Are we using the show version or are we using the comic book version? Because that's going to be 2 very different versions. If we're doing the show version, then we're doing a version of the character that is far more earlier off in his career and nowhere near as strong as the comic book version. So just how strong is the show version? Well, luckily we actually do get just a legitimate statement of how strong he is. The absolute strongest thing that we see him do is he lifts up this giant glacier, but he does seem to do it relatively easily, and it's specifically stated in the scene that Cecil needs to find something heavier for him to lift, because otherwise he can't get a good workout anymore. So they designed this machine that specifically can put more weight on him than what exists on Earth, and he starts benching that. In the show, it doesn't say how much weight this is, but in the comic it does, because the exact same scene happens in the comic, and it's 400 tons. This is the strongest thing we see him do up to now in the show. So the question becomes, can any of the characters in the Red Ring match or even come close to 400 tons to actually fight this dude in just a straight up fist fight? And the answer is no. I think they come closer than people think they come. If you just listen to what characters state in the game, these characters seem super fucking weak. For instance, when they talk about Punch Up, right? When they describe his power, they say he has the strength of 10 men. But when you actually look at what happens in the game and in the dispatches and shit, you start to realize this dude is way stronger than just 10 men. Like, way stronger than 10 men. For instance, at one point there's a dispatch mission where you have to get a bunch of beached whales off the beach. You have to drag them through the sand across the beach, chuck their asses back in the water. This is a mission you have to do. In the dispatch mission, they are specifically described to be 12 25-ton whales. And you can do this mission using one person. You don't need to fill it up with the whole team. Your strongest characters on a team can drag these fucking whales across the beach by themselves. That's a 25-ton whale that you're not even just dragging normally, but you're dragging through sand, which is probably the hardest thing on Earth to drag anything through, honestly. In a different dispatch mission later on in the game, there's a mission where there's this bridge called Torrance Bridge that's collapsing, and this hero is trying to hold up the bridge from collapsing, and he needs some help doing it. He can't hold it up on his own. So you guys send some dudes out there to go and help him hold it up. Torrance Bridge is a real bridge in real life. It's like a 300-foot long bridge that exists in Los Angeles. So I did some digging. I wanted to find out how much the bridge weighs, and I couldn't find it, but I did find out what the bridge was made out of, and I found out how wide the bridge was and how tall the bridge was, and I got the basic dimensions of the bridge. And based on those dimensions, if a 10-foot section of this bridge collapsed and you had to hold it up, it would weigh 130 tons. That's if it's only 10 feet. Now, chances are it was probably more than a 10-foot span. If a 10-foot span of the bridge was collapsing, you could just fucking let it collapse. You wouldn't have to hold it up. The only reason you had to hold it up is if there were a ton of cars on this bridge that were about to fucking collapse and you had to actually hold up a solid size. So if it's 20 feet, 40 feet, whatever it was they had to hold up, you're looking at hundreds of tons, if not possibly thousands of tons. However, there are multiple people holding this up. While it's true you can just send one person on the mission, no matter what, there's already a hero, there's one hero already there holding it up before you get there. So bare minimum, you got two dudes holding up this bridge. So this one's a little less clear of exactly how heavy or how much weight your character is doing, because we don't know how much of the bridge is collapsing or exactly what they're holding up, and there's two people doing it. But again, it's probably more than a 10-foot span, as you would have no reason to hold up a 10-foot span. Just let the bitch drop. All you would have to do is get the cars that are on that part of the bridge to back up a bit off that section, and then you could just drop the bitch. So it's like there would be no reason to hold it up. It would have to be a larger span. But again, this one's a little unclear, so I'm not going to take this one too super hardcore seriously. But it is interesting that they could possibly be strong enough to hold up hundreds, if not thousands of tons. It's just not confirmed yet, so not leaning onto it too much. Overall, we have an absolute definite that Mark Grayson can hold up 400 tons, and we don't really have that in Dispatch. We have a possibility of a couple hundred tons. Either way, Mark should be stronger. So having said that, should Mark just completely dominate the entirety of the Red Ranks? No, not at all. Not even a little bit. He's fucking suck, dude. The problem is that Mark has a lot of very clear even if we're talking about the comic book version at the end of the series, he's got some pretty major weaknesses, and the Red Rings have all of those weaknesses. Viltrumites are weak to loud noises. Like, sonic attacks harm them. Guess who has sonic attacks? Sonar. Guess who joins the Red Rings? Sonar. Sonar could fuck up Mark pretty easily. Guess what else Viltrumites are weak against? Lightning. Remember that lightning dude I talked about? Yeah, you could fuck up and even kill Mark with lightning attacks. They have a lightning character. You know what Mark doesn't have resistance to? Mind control powers. Mind control powers don't exist in his entire universe, comic books or show. I don't see any reason why a character like Smilemore or Psychic wouldn't be able to completely dominate Mark's mind and take him over, and then boom, they got another dude on their team. There's many different ways that the Red Rings can fucking kill Mark. I mean, we've seen Mark struggle against some super not impressive characters, and while yeah, this is kind of inconsistency with his power and all that, I get that. Overall, he's just not really that impressive in the show at all. And even if you go in the comics, while he is way more impressive, he still has all the same weaknesses he does in the show. There are ways around beating him that they don't even really have to deal with his his physical prowess. And before you say, well, how are they gonna hurt him or blah, 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 or whatever, he got hit with a nuke in that one No, he didn't. They specifically say they replaced the warhead with an EMP. It was an EMP that hit him, so it wasn't like a nuclear attack that got him. Again, we see him get fucked up by like some giant bugs and like pretty regular, like the Mauler twins fuck him up at one point. The Mauler twins ain't getting hit by a nuke. He's just not that impressive, just overall. In the show, he's super inconsistent and not impressive. In the comic, he's also very inconsistent, way more impressive though, but still has all the same weaknesses that the Red Rings can utilize to beat him, like mind control. And honestly, you're just making them stronger at that point. So yeah, that's why Mark's at the bottom of the list. He's not the weakest character here. He's actually one of the stronger characters here. He just doesn't have any answers for a lot of the stuff the characters can do. His weaknesses are pretty fucking bad. They're like really bad, very common weaknesses to have. So he's getting fucked pretty hard. If you're enjoying the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, join the membership, and hype the video. All of these things help with the algorithm and to make this video reach other people, and that's really cool because YouTube is being a fucking dick. And it's only showing AI videos to people, and it's taking away the viewership of people who are actually real and trying to, you know, make videos and enjoy shit. Unless you want YouTube just become nothing but fucking AI slap, you know, do that kind of stuff. Support these types of videos, not just on my channel, but on everybody's channel, because all of us are taking hits. I have talked to some major fucking YouTube creators, people who are a lot bigger than me. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands, even millions of subscribers, who have all told me the same shit. They're doing very poorly right now. Everything is dropping, me included. So please support these channels, support my channel, support the other channels that you enjoy, and stay away from the fucking AI bullshit, because I just got here and I don't want to fucking go already. Shit is so frustrating. Next up on the list, we have Denji from Chainsaw Man. Okay, so Chainsaw Man, there's really two versions, right? There's the Pochita version of Chainsaw Man, like Super Chainsaw Man, and then there's the Denji version of Chainsaw Man. I think it's going to be pretty obvious to everyone that the Pochita version of Chainsaw Man is considerably more powerful and is going to be a much larger threat to Shroud and the Red Ring, just overall. I mean, the dude can regenerate his entire body from just like a heart, an organ, and just have it just completely regenerate. And there doesn't seem to be any sort of limitation to that regeneration. He is way physically stronger than Denji, way faster, and can erase things from existence that he eats. Overall, this is all very useful. Problem is, the only way for Denji to become the Pochita version of Chainsaw Man is for him to be so hopeless and just so depressed and like not want to live anymore, which takes a lot to do to Denji. That's not an easy thing to do. It only happens after you wipe out every single person that he cares about and leave him with literally nothing, which, I mean, yeah, it's happened twice in the series so far. That's fair, I guess. But there were a lot of different factors that had to all happen in, you know, certain orders and shit to make that shit possible. I mean, one of the times it happened on purpose. Like, the chick wanted that to happen and plotted it out over the course of months solely so it would happen. So I think just saying it's going to happen here is unlikely. So I don't think Pochita's going to show up. So it's really just going to be Denji. So how is Denji Chainsaw Man going to do against, you know, the Red Ring? I think normally he would do okay because he does have regeneration abilities. He is physically strong. I don't know if he's necessarily as physically strong as them, but he's definitely close enough. He's also very fast. Like, I think he can compete with baseline. Like, I think a fight between Denji Chainsaw Man and Toxic would be a relatively good fight for a while. Only really the absolute top tiers of the Red Ring are going to be able to actually like throttle the shit out of Denji. The problem is, like, the real problem and why I don't think Denji's gonna do that well and why he's so low on the list is because he is probably the most predictable character I have seen in a very long time. And given that Shroud is capable of predicting what people do, that's a fucking problem. And before you argue that Denji is like this chaotic character that no one can predict, literally the entire plot of part 1 is about characters predicting what Denji is doing and using those prediction abilities to manipulate his movements throughout the series. I mean, you could say, well, Makima is she's the devil of Control Devil, right? So obviously she can control him and manipulate him and stuff. That's her whole thing. But it's not just her. Reze does that too. The government does it in part 2. It happens constantly. He's very easily manipulated because he's a very simple character and he's very open about the things he wants. He just wants to be happy. He wants a girlfriend. He wants to go to school and have a normal life and just be happy. He's very open about it. He states it directly to everyone everyone he meets the things that he wants and what he's willing to do to get it. And when it comes to specifically women and using women to manipulate him, it's basically a surefire way to get him to do anything you want him to do. Overall, Shroud is gonna have a fucking field day manipulating the shit out of this dude. It's gonna be super easy for him. Honestly, I don't even think it's gonna be that difficult for Shroud to get Denji to join the Red Rings. We already know that he was totally cool with getting Invisical to join SDN specifically to manipulate Robert because he knew what kind of woman Robert was into, and he knew how Robert would behave once introduced to that extra factor. And Robert's not even super open about it like Denji is. If Denji becomes a serious problem, Shroud would just be like, hey, Psychic, you're kind of hot. Why don't you go manipulate this teenage boy? It's gonna be super easy for you. And you should go do that and be like, hey, why don't you come over and join the Red Rings? We're not like killing any innocent people or anything. Like the whole, because Shroud's plot is actually not evil. Like his whole plan is very Red Hood-esque. He doesn't believe that heroism works, so his goal is to control all the crime in the city, and then with him in control of said crime, he can then, you know, lessen it. By him being in control of it, it will no longer be as much of a problem, and he's more or less successful in that goal, only eliminating people who get in his way or are a threat to what he's trying to do. So if he goes up to Denji and he's like, Denji, come join the Red Rings. We're a bunch of criminals, but we're a bunch of criminals that aren't doing shit that's really all that bad. So why don't you come join us? You can have a bunch of friends. We got some girls over here. It'll be great. He'd really do it. And I don't think it would be all that difficult for Shroud to figure that shit out because, again, Denji's very open about it and he's very easy to manipulate. So, yeah. I mean, if he goes up against the Red Rings, I think he'll, you know, kill a couple of people before eventually falling because he's just not that strong, really, comparatively. But I don't even think he's going to necessarily go up against the Red Rings. I think Shroud will manipulate the situation to where Denji ends up joining. At least until the final arc where they, you know, attack the entire city and start blowing up shit and basically doing terrorist attacks. Maybe Denji might turn on them then. But by that point, Shroud will have had so much interaction with Denji and seen him and understand his character even more that he's probably going to be able to predict that Denji wouldn't stick by at that point, to which he can have something prepared to deal with Denji while they do that. I think that that's absolutely, like, most likely what's going to happen. So no, I don't think Denji's going to do particularly well here. Next up on the list, we have Cole MacGrath from the Infamous series. This one was tough. Honestly, if you just told me about Cole MacGrath, you're like, oh, this is Cole MacGrath, this is powers, we could do blah, blah, blah. I would be like, oh yeah, he's going to fucking totally dominate the Red Rings. It's going to take him a while because there's so many of them and he's by himself, but you know, he's going to do pretty well. He basically has an answer to more or less everything that they can do for the most part. All the mind control shit, he has resistance to mind control shit. He has the ability to literally turn people to ash by touching them, by just absorbing all the energy out of their body, like some kind of weird bioelectricity bullshit that doesn't follow any real form of science, but it's fine. It's the way it works. It's cool. He's arguably shown being as fast as lightning itself, which, while it does range in speed depending on certain factors, it's usually pretty fucking fast, so you can argue that he's fast. He's extremely strong. He has a wide variety of abilities. It's not just all electric based. What they've allowed him to be able to do with his electric powers is very, very fast, but I do think he's going to run into one major issue. It's a massive, massive issue for him, and it's probably going to lead to him actually not being able to overcome the Red Rings. And that is, he requires electricity at all times to make sure that his powers work. And not just his powers, but he himself needs electricity to function. He needs it to literally live. Without electricity, he starts like limping and shit. He can't even run properly or walk properly. His regeneration doesn't work. Like literally nothing works if he runs out of electricity in his body. Now, why does this matter? Because in the middle of Los Angeles, there's electricity everywhere. Well, as I said prior, the Red Ring are capable and do, within the story, cause a citywide blackout across all of Los Angeles, meaning that basically all of the electricity that Cole could possibly get to power his abilities is going to be gone. The only thing he's going to have access to are cars for the most part. He's not going to start taking them out of shit that take like AA batteries. He's going to take it out of cars, and cars don't actually have that much electricity in them. It's not a bad amount, but when you see the shit that Cole uses with his electric powers, he's going to be utilizing a large amount of electricity. He really, really badly needs that connection to a very, very large power source like a city's power plant or something in order for him to be effective. Otherwise, he runs through his powers fucking quick. Literally minutes, sometimes seconds. Which leads me to the conclusion that I really don't think Cole is going to be able to do very well here. Now, I can think of some arguments that people might give me as to why this isn't the case. case. Like in the game, if he uses all of his energy, he could still shoot his electricity and jump around and stuff. That's true, but it's also gameplay mechanics, because in the actual story, we see what happens when he runs out of electricity. He can't shoot his little basic electric ability. He straight up can't walk right. Like, he's very, very fucked up by the fact that he doesn't have electricity in his body. This is a big deal. It literally kills him if he runs out. And honestly, any argument that I could see someone coming out is all going to be kind of sort of in that realm. They're all going to be gameplay related, because in gameplay, you can run around, you can suck out shit out of like a light bulb. You suck it out of a light bulb and, oh, I got several minutes of fucking electric abilities that I can use. But like, you and I and everyone knows that a light bulb isn't going to have that level of energy in it. The only way that he would be able to use the electricity that he uses to do the things that he does is if he's pulling the electricity that he's sucking out of things directly from the power grid. Otherwise, well, it doesn't make any sense. Honestly, game mechanic wise, it doesn't make any sense why he would pull out of a light bulb and that light bulb would pop and he can't still keep draining it, because there's still electricity in the wires of that light bulb. Just because the light bulb breaks doesn't mean there isn't still energy there. So I know a lot of people are going to use gameplay as reasoning as to why what I'm saying doesn't make sense, but again, it is gameplay. In the actual story, we see that he needs the electricity. It's a big deal when he runs out of it, and he should be able to pull it from basically any source he wants as long as it's tied to a power grid. But if you disconnect that power grid from the entire city, which literally happened in Dispatch, that's it. He's got no source. He's now on a timer, and he will very, very quickly run out of energy, and then he'll just be dead. I mean, there's really not a whole lot he can do. Now, I don't think he'll be stupid enough to use all that energy that quickly, but he'll be very, very, very limited by what he can do. He's going to have to be very careful to not overtax his powers and run through the electricity he has stored in his body, because, you know, he could fucking kill himself. And I think that that's going to be okay for a while, because he's smart enough and he's powerful enough and he's skilled enough to kind of deal with it for a bit. But there's a limit, dude. Like, there are characters that he's going to need to go all out on. He's going to need to go all out on the massive fucking kaiju. He's going to need to go pretty close to all out when he deals with characters like Toxic. You could say, okay, well, he could just blitz Toxic. Well, how much power is that going to use for him to start traveling at lightning speeds? I mean, that's a lot of power. There isn't that much power in things like vehicles. If you took all of the power out of a car, like all of it, every single bit of energy out of a single car, you would be able to run a decent sized Tesla coil for less than 10 minutes. And the attacks that Cole is doing are going to be significantly bigger and using more energy than a decent sized Tesla coil. I don't think you guys are realizing just how little energy he would be getting out of shit without everything being tied to a power grid. He would basically be a normal dude. Like, he would not be able to use his powers or it would kill him. And if you're saying, well, he can get it from people, like taking all the bioenergy out of people and do it that way, there's way less electricity in a person than there is in a car. Like, by a significant margin. It's way less. So overall, I would say if you took Cole and you chucked him at the Red Ring and they didn't have the ability to literally cause a citywide blackout, like he can go all out the whole time fighting against the Red Ring, I think it would take him a while, but he would be able to defeat basically everyone. There'd be a couple of people that give him trouble, but he can overcome. He's significantly stronger than the vast majority of them. And really the ones that would give him trouble would be like Toxic, because Toxic has a regenerative factor and it's not even really 100% sure if his attacks would be able to kill Toxic. And then he wouldn't be able to actually touch Toxic, because Toxic would literally burn his flesh, as Toxic can burn through just straight up solid steel with his toxicness, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So that would be a problem, but I think he would be able to deal with it. He is way more powerful, way faster, all that kind of stuff. But it's not like he wouldn't have any problems. Overall, I think he could deal with it. But if you're removing his power source and now you're giving him like literally minutes of being able to use his power without running out, and then having to run to a car and getting like 2 more little shots before running out again immediately, now that's what he has to deal with. He's done. There's nothing he can do. If he can find a way around this, cool. But if not, it's nothing. The only other thing I could possibly think of is if Cole finds the electric dude who is on Shroud's team and like just maybe use him as a battery and just keep sucking shit from him so he won't run out. Because that guy, we don't know much about that guy's power, but he seems to produce his own electricity, whereas Cole does not produce his own electricity, which is a major problem, by the way, for Cole. It's just like most electric people can produce their own electricity. It's a major weakness for an electric character to not be able to produce their own electricity. But I don't think Shroud would be stupid enough to send an electric guy to go stop a dude who absorbs electric power. For like, it just doesn't, he wouldn't do that. There would be no point in doing that. So yeah, I don't think it would be that difficult for Shroud to be like, hell, if you find all the cars, destroy all the cars in the area while you're fighting this electric guy who absorbs like remove all electricity from the area that you can. Send an army of dudes, 5 of them will be fighting Cole, and the other fucking 85 will just be going around destroying the fucking car batteries and shit so he can't get any energy whatsoever. And yeah, no, Cole's dealt with. Cole literally has minutes of combat that he can do before he's completely out. You know what I just thought of that I think is kind of funny? This is gonna make people mad. There's a legitimate chance, like legit, now this isn't a part of the challenge or anything, but there's a legitimate chance, not a bad one, not like a good one, that Waterboy could defeat Cole MacGrath in a fight. I'm not saying he's more likely to win than Cole is, but it's like a solid chance that he could kill Cole just by throwing some water on him. He's Waterboy is like the weakest dude basically in all of Dispatch. Could possibly solo Cole. I find that funny. Last up, but certainly not least, we have All Might from My Hero Academia. He wins. Can I end the video now? But you want an explanation? Oh my god, so fucking needy. Okay, I mean, it's really simple. He's way physically stronger. Even if you want to say that Punch Up went and lifted up that whole bridge by himself, several hundred, several thousand tons, whatever the fuck it was, doesn't matter. All Might's strong enough that just his punch creates a fucking air wave that completely separates an entire, like he clears the sky of a storm with a punch from the ground. That's easily better than anything that we've seen anything happen in Dispatch. He's way faster. He can literally appear from one side of a city to the other side of the city damn near instantly. The only person who would even be slightly comparable to him would be Trackstar, maybe. The only real weakness I can think of that All Might has is the fact that every time he has to overcome a challenge, he has to do it in the most like blunt forward way possible. I'm not really sure how to describe this. Basically, like if he's gonna go fight someone, he doesn't use strategy or really think about it. He's like, no, I'm gonna stand there, stand my ground, and I'm going to out punch the enemy. And he does this on purpose because he likes to give the people around him hope when he shows up to deal with problems. The fact that he can just stand there and is never challenged and overcomes everything with a single punch gives the people hope, and that's why he always smiles, and like that's a big part of his character. But because of this, he doesn't use strategy, and because he doesn't use strategy and he just goes straight on to things, it could possibly make it so that Shroud can predict what he's gonna do because he's very predictable. He shows up, he smiles for everyone, makes everybody feel good, says a little line, and then just one punches everything. And Shroud could very likely, very easily predict this. Problem is, it's not gonna matter. I mean, it's cool that you could predict that you're about to be hit by a nuke, but you can't stop yourself from being hit by that nuke just because you know it's coming. You're still done. As for all like the mind control stuff and all that different stuff, we've seen that the power One for All is capable of protecting people mentally, and we see that. Even Deku is capable of using One for All to protect him against the mental attacks of that dude who could speak. Well, no, hey, that speak dude. Remember that guy from the early purple hair was Shiro? What's his fucking name? He has the power to control people if you respond to him. I'm totally forgetting his name. That guy. That's basically the same power that Smile More has. And Deku was able to overcome it using One for All. And he can't control One for All nearly as well as All Might can. And All Might has insanely high willpower. I don't think there's any question that Smile More is not going to be able to control All Might. So yeah, All Might gets over on everything. He'll be fine. Electricity isn't going to do a whole lot. You know, Toxic will probably, that's one thing. But I mean, he can hit Toxic with using the airwaves. He doesn't actually have to punch him. He can just punch and do the fucking air blast things that he does. And air blast things literally can destroy fucking towns if he wanted to. So yeah, I don't really see a way he's gonna win. Again, it's gonna be a time-consuming thing because he's got a lot of people he's got to get through. But he's really fast, so he's probably gonna get through it faster than anybody else. And yeah, it'll be fine. He'll be great. It's gonna be super easy. Shroud's gonna get fucking wrecked. Maybe if we get like a season 2 of Dispatch, we'll actually be able to see more of what these characters are capable of outside of just the Dispatch calls, which we don't get to see, but we just kind of read about. Because I would like to see what Dispatch as a universe is actually capable of. I want to see like everyone go off. Let's see Phenomenal Man absorb a sun. Why not? Let's see him do all the cool shit they're talking about that they can do. But as for right now, no, All Might's winning. He's got this in the bag. But that's gonna be all for me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you're gonna see 4 videos pop, like 4. Well, not if you did. You're gonna see the 4 videos right now, even if you didn't, unless YouTube's got the fucking stupids, because it does that sometimes. But you should see 4 videos appear on the screen right now. If you enjoyed this video, click one of these other videos and enjoy those as well, because you know that's cool. That's fun to enjoy more than one thing. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?